Okay. So text 44, chapter 16. प्रभु कहे देवेरे बरे तुम्ही कवि वर ऐसे देवेरे बरे केहो होए श्रुतिधर. The Lord replied, by the grace of the Lord, someone may become a great poet, and similarly, by his grace, someone else may become a great Shrutidhar, who can memorize anything immediately. So let's read the purport and then we'll discuss this.
Can I, Prabhu?
Of course you can, yeah, sure.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
In this connection, Shruti Dhara is a very important word. Shruti means hearing, and Dhara means one who can capture. Formerly, before the beginning of Kali Yuga, almost everyone, especially among the intelligent men, the Brahmanas, were Shruti Dhara. As soon as a student heard any of the Vedic wisdom from his master, he would remember it forever. There was no need to refer to books, and therefore there were no written books in those days. The spiritual master delivered the Vedic hymns and their explanations to the student, who would then remember them forever without consulting books. To become a Shrutidhara, one who can remember simply by hearing, is a great achievement for a student. In Bhagavad Gita 10.41, the Lord says, यद्यद्विभूतामतत्त्वं श्रीमद् इव वा तत्तत् एवागजातं मम तेजोंसा सम्भवम्. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creation spring from but a spark of my splendor. As soon as we find anything extraordinary, we should understand that such an extraordinary manifestation is the special grace of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied to the champion Keshav Kashmiri that just as he was greatly proud of being a favorite devotee of Mother Sarasvati, so someone else like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, being favored by Supreme Personality of Godhead, could become a Shrutidhara and thus memorize anything immediately simply by hearing it.
Jai, thank you. So remember, this person is very, very puffed up. You know, he's been going around the whole country challenging the scholars of different cities and defeating them in the debate and absolutely insisting on them writing what's known as Vijay Patra, which means a letter or certificate that says he won, they lost. And finally, he decided that Navadvip was a place of scholars, world famous scholars, that only if he goes there and defeats everybody, that it'll be give real meaning to his term Digvijay, means winner in all directions. So in that attitude, he had come and he had seen in the full moon night, Lord Chaitanya sitting down with his thousands of students by the bank of river Ganges, teaching them. And so he was mesmerized by his beauty and his delivery. And so he asked one of the students, who is this person? So they told him, this is Nimai Pandit. He said, oh, this is the famous Nimai Pandit. And so he came closer and the Lord Chaitanya offered him respects, asked him to sit down. And Kashmiri Pandit started basically showing off. And so the Lord said, you know, the biggest obstacle in anyone's progress in the path of devotional service is his pride. So I need to break his pride. Now, why did he do that? Why even care? Because he was a pure devotee of his pure devotee. So who's pure devotee being referred to here?
Mother Saraswati, Prabhuji.
Mother Saraswati, yes. So he's a pure devotee of Mother Saraswati, who's a pure devotee of him. So therefore, he decided to show him mercy. But there's a rule that sometimes the Lord uses, which says that I will show this person mercy only after his heart has been purified. Now, that's not always true. But majority of the time, Lord says, I'll do something that purifies his heart. So that's why the whole situation was created, where the Lord asked him to glorify Mother Ganges. And within 1 hour, he basically created 100 verse, brand new, never before heard, and full of real scholarship. And all the students who heard didn't understand a thing. And Lord Chaitanya also pretended not to understand anything. And therefore he asked him to please explain any verse, if not all 100. And again, being puffed up, he said, I know this guy won't remember. This kid will not remember any verse. He said, why don't you tell me which verse you want me to explain? And the Lord actually rhymed off the 64th verse. Not the first one, not the last one, right in the middle, 64th verse, which is what we read last week.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the text 41. We read that. Mahatvam Gangaya Satatam Idam Abhati Nitaram Yad Esha Shri Vishnu's Charana Kamalotpatti Subhaga Vitiya Shri Lakshmi Iva Suranarer Archya Charana Bhavani Bharturiya Shirasi Vibhavati Adbhuta Guna. So wonderful verse. The greatness of Mother Ganges always brilliantly exists. She's the most fortunate because she emanated from the lotus feet of Shri Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. She is a second goddess of fortune, and therefore she's always worshipped by the demigods and by humanity. Endowed with all wonderful qualities, she flourishes on the head of Lord Shiva. So that's the verse Lord Chaitanya repeated. And the shocked, this person said, how can I remember? I spoke so fast. So Lord Chaitanya is saying, well, by the Lord's mercy, you are Kavivar. Kavivar means a great poet. Most elevated poet is the translation given here. And similarly, by the same grace of the Lord, or by the grace of the same Lord, some people become Shrutidhar. Means they can immediately remember anything they hear it once. So, does anybody remember, or can anybody name any other very famous Shrutidhars that we read about in our scriptures? Just give me one name.
Sukhdev ji.
Shudev Maharaj. Who else?
Suta Goswami.
Suta Goswami, exactly. So two in the same sequence, they Suta Goswami heard it only once. And it wasn't being repeated, it wasn't being said slowly. So it's being said quite fast. Yet he remembered all of them. Not just one or two, all of them. Thousands of those verses he could remember. So the Lord Chaitanya, he says, by the grace of the same Lord. So this is an extraordinary capability. And Srila Prabhupada, in the purport is, excuse me, reminding us of what Lord Krishna tells Arjun in the 10th chapter. He says, Yajat vibhuti mat sattvam Shrimat ujitam eva taddat eva apagachatam mam tejo ansh sambhavam. He says, whatever great thing, what are the most opulent, most beautiful, most glorious thing you see, just remember that simply is but a spark of my splendor. This is all coming from me. It's all coming from me, and by my mercy, I have given it to you. So Lord Chaitanya recognizing the grace of the Lord. So now, why did Lord? I'm going to ask you, why did Lord Chaitanya put it this way?
Because he don't want to show himself that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, close. Yeah, close. Anything else?
And Mahaprabhu wants to show that both he and he himself, because he was behaving as a devotee, we all are his servants. That's why whatever we are gaining, achieving is by his mercy.
Right, exactly. So whatever skills, whatever talents we have, they're given to us as a mercy of the Lord. In other words, we cannot take credit. And that is the best way to remain humble when you're so great. If you start thinking, no, I got it because of my own abilities, my own efforts, you become puffed up. But you always realize, no, it's simply a prasadam, a mercy of the Lord given to me by special mercy. You will not get proud. It's like nobody gets proud of their neighbor's money, right? Because it's not theirs. So similarly, as long as we remind ourselves that whatever we have is not ours, it's been given to us as a mercy by the Lord, then we will not become proud. So he's showing his humility, and at the same time showing him off by reminding him that you also, what ability you have of being a kavivar, is not to your credit. It's to the credit of your worshipable object, which is Mother Saraswati. So reminding him in a very subtle way. Okay. Text 45. श्लोकेर अर्थ कहले विप्र पाया संतोष प्रभु कहे कह श्लोकेर किवा गुण दोष. Satisfied by the statement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Brahmin Keshav Kashmiri explained the quoted verse. And the Lord said, now kindly explain the special qualities and faults in this verse. Right? So not only did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pick out this one among the 100 verses and remember it, although the Brahmin had recited them like blowing wind, but he also analyzed its qualities and faults. Not only did he hear the verse, but he immediately made a critical study of it. So not just remember it, but also understand it, also analyze it, and find the faults and the good qualities. That's the Lord. So again, now he's proving that, look, just because I'm humble doesn't mean I don't know anything. Text 46. Now, he's still puffed up. This Kashmiri Pandit is still puffed up. He's saying, Vipra kahe shloke nahi doshere abhas. Upama alankar guna kichu anupras. The Brahmana replied, there's not a tinge of fault in that verse. What are you talking about? There's no fault in this verse. Not even a tinge, abhas matra. Not even a tinge of fault. Rather, it has the good qualities of similes and alliteration. So everybody knows what simile means? Everybody knows what simile means?
I don't know, Prabhuji.
Same.
Huh?
Something equal.
Same.
Something similar. So sometimes you give example of something with something. So you say, for example, lotus feet, lotus eyes. That means does not mean the eyes are made of lotus, feet are made of lotus. Doesn't mean that. It just means that they're as beautiful as
Lotus.
as soft as lotus flower. Right? So that's a simile. And then there's, you say, it says, Kichu Anupras. Anupras basically means that you're saying something in different words. So alliteration. Okay. So purport. Somebody read the purport, please.
I can read it, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead. Oh, Gautam Prabhu, go ahead. Yes.
In the last line of verse quoted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the letter Bha is repeated many times, as in the words Bhavani, Bhartur, Vibhavati, and Adbhuta. Such repetition is called Anuprasha or alliteration. The words Lakshmir Iva and Vishnu's Charana Kamlapati are instances of Upama Alankara, for they exhibit metaphorical beauty. The Ganges is water and Lakshmi is the goddess of fortune. Since water and a person are not actually similar, the comparison is metaphorical.
Right. So once again, we talk about alliteration, Anupras. So the letter Bha is repeated. Bhavani, Bhartur, Vibhavati, Adbhuta. Right? And then simile is Lakshmi, Iva, and Vishnu's Charana Kamlato. Just like the water, Lakshmi or Vishnu's lotus feet. They compared with lotus flower. Okay, that's Upama Alankar. Okay. So that's just basically explaining that. Text 47. प्रभु कहन कही यदि न करहु रोष कहा तोमार ए श्लोके कि बा अच्छे दोष. Now again, Lord is staying very humble. He's saying, my dear sir, I may say something to you if you will not become angry.
Can you explain the fault?
And explain the false.
Fault in this verse.
So he's saying, please, are there any faults? Explain it. Text 48. प्रतिभार काव्य तोमार देवता संतोषे भालमते विचारिले जानी गुण दोषे. There's no doubt that your poetry is full of ingenuity, and certainly it has satisfied the Supreme Lord. Yet, if we scrutinizingly consider it, we find both good qualities and faults. Lord saying, it's not without good qualities, it's not without faults. All this great. It's full of ingenuity. Ingenuity basically means you got so much skill, so much talent, so much intelligence, so much brightness, pratibha, that you have satisfied the Lord. But there are good qualities and there are faults. 49. ताते भाल करी श्लोक करहु विचार कभी कहे जे कहिले सही वेद सार. Wow. The Lord concluded, now therefore let us carefully scrutinize this verse. What does he say? The poet replied, yes, the verse you have recited is perfectly correct. माता जी आप लोग म्यूट कर लो प्लीज. आप लोग म्यूट कर लीजिए. Yes, the verse you have recited is perfectly correct. Okay, so he's saying there's nothing wrong. Okay, text 50. व्याकरणीय तुम्ही नाही पढ़ो अलंकार तुम्ही के जाने बे ऐ कवित्वेर सार. You are an ordinary student of grammar. What do you know about literary embellishments? You cannot review this poetry because you do not know anything about it. Wow. He's saying he's just an ordinary student of grammar. What do you know about alankar, literary embellishments? You cannot review this poetry because you don't know anything about this. You're not qualified to review it. So how dare you? Okay, let's read the purport.
Shall I read probably?
Please go ahead, yeah.
Keshav Kashmiri first wanted to bluff Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by saying that since he was not an advanced student in literary style, he could not review a verse full of metaphors and literary ornaments. This argument has some basis in fact. Unless one is a medical man, he cannot criticize a medical man. And unless one is a liar, he cannot criticize a liar. Therefore, Keshav Kashmiri first depreciated the Lord's position because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to the champion a student of grammar. How could he dare criticize a great poet like him? Lord Chaitanya therefore criticized the poet in a different way. He said that although he was certainly not advanced in a literary career, he had heard from others how to criticize such poetry, and as a Srutidara, possessing a complete memory, he could understand the process for such a review. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Bo. So, now this Pandit is really upset. First of all, you little kid, 11 years old. Second of all you know is grammar. What do you know about literary style? What do you know about the level at which I write, poetry full of metaphors and literary ornaments? How dare you criticize a great poet like me? So then the Lord changes the tactic. Text 51, he says, प्रभु कहन अतएव पूछिए तुम्हारे विचारिया गुण दोष बुझाऊ हमारे. Taking a humble position, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, because I'm not on your level, I've asked you to teach me by explaining the false and good qualities in your poetry. So he's saying, I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking you to please teach me. Is there anything good or bad? I've not criticized. Lord Chaitanya said, I've not criticized you. Yeah, you're right. I'm just a student. And I'm a kid. You're a great poet. So, but you tell me. Text 52.
Haribol.
Haribol Usha? Yeah.
Prabhu, so Keshav Kashmiri does not know at this time that he is lordship.
No, he
So
doesn't.
so being not knowing, he's just telling him being an older and that, you don't know anything. So is he we are thinking he's making sins or offenses, but actually, if you see it practically, he did not know that
No. So we're not
Chaitanya
talking about
Mahaprabhu is a
sins.
man.
We're not talking about sins or offenses. We're saying he's puffed up. Acting puffed
Yeah,
up. That's what we're saying.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So text 52. नाहि पढ़ी अलंकार करिया छी श्रवण ताते ei shloke देखी बहुदोष गुण. Certainly, I have not studied the art of literary embellishments, but I've heard about it from higher circles. Thus, I can review this verse and find in it many faults and many good qualities. So the Lord still remains humble. He says, yeah, you're right. I have not studied what you have studied, but I've heard it from higher circles, like those who are your level or higher. And because I'm Shrutidhar, I remember the process they taught me. So I can review this verse based on what they taught me or what I heard from them and find in it many faults and many good qualities. And that's what in the previous verse Prabhupada was saying in the purport at the end of it, that he says, he was certainly not advanced in literary career. He'd heard from others how to criticize his poetry. And as a Shrutidhar, possessing a complete memory, he could understand the process of such a review. He says, I just learned the process from people who know. So I'm just using that process because I remember. So this is the purport.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
The statement Karyachi Sravana, I have heard it, is very important in the sense that hearing is more important than directly studying or perceiving. If one is expert in hearing and hears from the right source, his knowledge is immediately perfect. This process is called Srota Pantha, or the acquisition of knowledge by hearing from authorities. All Vedic knowledge is based on the principle that one must approach a bona fide spiritual master and hear from him the authoritative statements of the Vedas. It is not necessary for one to be highly polished literary man to receive knowledge. To receive perfect knowledge from a perfect person, one must be expert in hearing. This is called the descending process of deductive knowledge or Avroha Pantha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, what basically Prabhupada is explaining in the purport is that we have to improve our skill of hearing. Do you know that on average, people remember only 7% of what they hear? 93% is lost. So to go from 7% to 100% is the key to making advancement in gaining any kind of knowledge or even devotional service. That's why we always talk about what Prabhupada calls here Avroha Pantha, which means coming from top to the bottom, not going from bottom to the top. So who's at the top?
Krishna.
Krishna. So whatever has come from the mouth of Krishna has been repeated by the devotees and the sages who have written scriptures talking about what Krishna has said. So ours is a descending process of Avroha Pantha. And that's why we have so much emphasis on disciplic succession. Disciplic succession, by definition, means coming down. And that is why in a disciplic succession, if the top is not legit, then the whole process is bad. So if a process or a sampradaya is not starting from Krishna, then you have to wonder. And that is why we don't like to go outside of the four Vaishnava sampradayas, because they're not starting from Krishna or a pure devotee of Krishna. So we have four sampradayas, we know that, right? What are they?
Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya that we have, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya.
Right.
Yeah.
So Kumar Sampradaya is started by the four Kumaras, who are also pure devotees. Sri Sampradaya is started by Mother Lakshmi, who is a pure devotee. Right? Rudra Sampradaya, Lord Shiva, is also a pure devotee. So either the Lord or a pure devotee of the Lord. But all those pure devotees have started from Krishna. So they're not even starting themselves. They're only repeating what they've heard from Krishna. Okay. So this descending process is very, very key to our progress in the path of devotional service. Okay, 53. कवि कहे कह देखी कौन गुण दोष प्रभु कहे न कही सुन न करी है रोष. Beautiful. The person, all right, let me see what good qualities and faults you have found. Ha ha ha, in my creation, you found some faults. The Lord replied, let me speak. And please hear me without becoming angry. So don't interrupt, don't get angry, don't start shouting at me. Please hear. Okay. 54. पंच दोष एहि श्लोके पंच अलंकार क्रमेयामी कहिशुन करहु विचार. My dear sir, in this verse there are 5 faults, not just 1 or 2, 5 faults and 5 literary ornaments. I shall state them one after another. Kindly hear me and then give your judgment. So if you don't agree, tell me. But please hear me out. So let's see the purport.
I can read through.
Go ahead, Paul.
In the verse beginning with Mahatvam Gangayaha, there are 5 literary ornaments and 5 examples of faulty composition. There are 2 examples of the fault called Avimratsa Videyamsa and 1 example each of the faults Viruddhamati, Punar Ukti and Bhagna Krama.
So next few paragraphs will describe what each of these mean. So let's start with the first one. Go ahead.
Vimrasta means clean and Videyamsa means predicate. It is a general rule of composition to establish a subject first and then give its predicate. For example, according to Sanskrit grammar, if one says, this man is learned, his composition is in order. But if one says, learned is this man, the composition is not in order. Such a flaw is called avimratsa videyamsa dosha, or the fault of unclean composition. The subject matter to be known of the verse is the glorification of Ganges, and therefore the word idam, this, or what is known, should have been placed before instead of after the glorification. The subject matter already known should be placed before the unknown so that its meaning will not be misconstrued.
Great. Stop, Prabhu. Stop.
Yeah.
So let's make sure we understand. So everybody understands the subject and the predicate.
Yes, Prabhu. But our school English grammar.
Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhu.
yeah, that's right. That's right. So it's clear on that. Okay. So man is learned, not learned is this man. Okay. So how is that fault here? So saying what's being glorified? Ganges. Right? So that should come first. But what comes first? Look at the verse again.
The predicate is coming first according to him.
Yeah, Mahatvam. Right? Satam idam. So saying this in the reverse order, that's one fault. Okay, so what's known, which is Ganga, should be coming before the glorification. Okay? Let's read the second paragraph.
The second instance of avimratsa videyamsa dosha occurs in the words Dvitiya Sri Lakshmir Eva. In this composition, the word Dvitiya, second, is Videya or unknown. Placing the unknown first to make the compound word Dvitiya Sri Lakshmir is another fault. The words Dvitiya Sri Lakshmir Eva were intended to compare the Ganges to the goddess of fortune. But because of this fault, the meaning of the compound word was bewildering.
Okay, so again, I'm not sure I can explain as clearly as I would like to, but again, the point is that the word Dvitiya should come later, but it's coming before Sri Lakshmir. Okay, so that's the other fault coming. Okay, let's go to the third one.
The third fault is that of Viruddhamati or contradictory conception. In the words Bhavani Bharatuhu, the word Bhavani refers to the wife of Lord Bhava, Lord Shiva. But since Bhavani is already known as the wife of Lord Shiva, to add the word Bharata, husband, thus forming a compound meaning, the husband of the wife of Lord Shiva, is contradictory. For thus it appears as if the wife of Lord Shiva had another husband.
Right. So this one is easier to understand. Bhavani means the wife of Bhava, Lord Shiva. So if you say husband of wife of Lord Shiva, that means maybe there's another husband also. And that's not right. Okay, fourth one.
The fourth fault is punar ukti or redundancy, which occurs when the verb vibhuvati flourishes, which should have ended the composition, is further qualified by the unnecessary adjective adbhuta guna, endowed with wonderful qualities. The fifth fault is bhagna krama, which means broken order. In the first, third, and fourth lines, there is anuprasha or alliteration created by the sounds ta, ra, and bha. But in the second line, there is no such anuprasha, and therefore the order is broken. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So again, he's basically saying you got anupras or alliteration in 3 lines, but not the 4th line. So therefore you've broken the order. So he finds, now I don't understand this fully and I cannot explain this fully, but basically take it as given that there is redundancy, there's broken order, there is a contradictory conception, and there is the fault with not putting the subject first, putting the predicate first. So those are the rules that we studied some of them in our high school. So the Lord has found those 5 faults in the verse. Text 55. Avibhrashta videyanshe duhitai chinna vruddhamati bhagnakram punarokt doshatinam. In this verse, the fault of Avimrashta videyansh occurs twice, and the faults of Viruddhamati, Bhagnakram, and Punarukta occurs once each. So it's already been explained in the purport of the previous verse. Text 56. Gangara Mahatva Shloke Mool Vidheya Idam Shabde Anuvad Pache Avidheya. So now, basically the purport is based on these verses. So we have the purport first, but now the explanation is being given. The glorification of Ganges Mahattam Gangaya is a principal unknown subject matter in this verse. And the known subject matter is indicated by the word idam, which has been placed after the unknown. So what's unknown? is the glorification of what is the Mahatva? What is the glorification of Ganges? Okay. So Mahatva also means the importance. So what is the importance is unknown. But idam is coming after saying was unknown. So again, Robert, this just being explain what we read in the verse, in the purport, I mean. Text 57, विधेय आगे कही पाछे कहिले अनुवाद यही लागी श्लोकेर अर्थ करी याछे बाद. Because you place the known subject at the end and that which is unknown at the beginning, the composition is faulty. And the meaning of the words has become doubtful. So again, explaining what's known should come first. Text 58. Anuvadam anukva na vidheyam udirayet nahi alabdhas padam kinchit kutrachit pratisthati. Without first mentioning what is known, one should not introduce the unknown. For that which has no solid basis can never be established anywhere. So again, same thing. Tell us what's known before tell us what's unknown. 59. द्वितीय श्री लक्ष्मी यहाँ द्वितीयत्व विधेय समासे गौण हैल शब्दार्थ गेल छय. In the word Dvitiya Shri Lakshmi, a second all opulent goddess of fortune, the quality of being a second Lakshmi is the unknown. In making this compound word, the meaning became secondary and the originally intended meaning was lost. Okay, this is explained a little bit further in the next verse. द्वितीय शब्द विधेय तहा पड़िल समासे Lakshmi samata artha karil vinashe. Because the word Dvitiya, second, is unknown, in its combination of this combined word, the intended meaning of the quality with Lakshmi is lost. Okay, explain further. Avimrashta vidheyanshe ei dosher naam aur ek dosh ache shun savdhan. Not only is there the fault of Vimrashta vidheyansh, but there is also another fault which I shall point out to you. Kindly hear me with great attention. So he basically is trying to explain that what's known should come first, what's unknown should come second, and give two examples of that. Now saying there's another fault. Text 62. Bhavani bhartu shabd dile paiya santosh viruddha matikrit naam ei mahadosh is another great fault. You arrange the word Bhavani bhartur to your great satisfaction, but this betrays the fault of contradiction. What's the contradiction? Let's hear it. 63. Bhavani shabde kahe mahadever grahini tar bharta kahle dvitiya bharta jani. The word Bhavani means the wife of Lord Shiva. But when we mention her husband, one might conclude that she has another husband. Text 64. Shiv patnir bharta yaha sunate viruddha matikrit shabd shaste nahe shuddh. It's contradictory to hear that Lord Shiva's wife has another husband. The use of such words in literature creates the fault called Viruddha Matikrit. Brahmana Patniri Bhartar Haste Dehadan Shabdit Sunitei Hoy Dvitiya Bharta Gyan. If someone says, place this charity in the hands of the husband of the wife of the Brahmana, when we hear these contradictory words, we immediately understand that the Brahmana's wife has another husband. Okay. 66. Vibhivati Kriyaya Vak Sang Punah Visheshana Adbhut Guna Ei Punarokta Dushana. The statement by the word Vibhavati, flourishes, is complete. Qualifying it with the adjective Adbhut Guna, wonderful qualities, creates the fault of redundancy. Tin pade anupras dekhi anupam, ek pade nahi dekh, dosh bhagna kram. This extraordinary alliteration in 3 lines of the verse. But in 1 line, there is no such alliteration. It's the fault of deviation. So we talked about that also, that ta, bha, and ra will be repeated in first, fourth, third, and fourth line, but not in the second line. So it's bhagnakra. Yadyap e shloke ache, panch alankar, e panch dosha shlok, kail charakhar. Although there are 5 literary ornaments decorating this verse, the entire verse has been spoiled by these 5 most faulty presentations. 69. Dash alankare yadi ek shlok hoye, एक दो से सब अलंकार हो छह. If there are 10 literary ornaments in a verse, but even one faulty expression, the entire verse is nullified.
Yeah.
How? Text 70. सुंदर शरीर जैसे भूषणे भूषित, एक श्वेत कुष्ठे जैसे कराए विगीत. One's beautiful body may be decorated with jewels, but one spot of white leprosy makes the entire body abominable.
Correct.
The greatest Bharat Muni authority on poetic metaphor has given this opinion, this connection as follows. So anyway, so saying, wonderful example, beautiful person, great jewelry on it, but one spot of white leprosy makes it not so beautiful. Text 71. रसालंकार वत्कायम काव्यम दोषयुक्त चेद विभूषितम स्याद वपु सुंदरम अपि सुत्रेनाकेन दुर्भगम. As one's body, although well decorated with ornaments, is made unfortunate by even one spot of white leprosy. So an entire poem is made useless by a fault, despite alliteration, similes, and metaphors. So you can have all that you want, but one fault makes it useless. Text 72. Panch alankarer ebe shuno vichar, dui shabda alankar tin arth alankar. Now here the description of the 5 literary embellishments. There are 2 ornaments of sound and 3 ornaments of meaning. So your poetry is not without any good qualities. There are 5 literary embellishments. Let's talk about this. 73. शब्दालंकार तिन पादे आछे अनुप्रास श्री लक्ष्मी शब्दे पुनरुक्त वदाभास. There is sound ornament of alliteration in 3 lines, and the combination of the words Shri and Lakshmi is the ornament of tinge of redundancy. So Shri and Lakshmi mean the same thing. Okay, so this is redundant. प्रथम चरणे पंचता कारेर पांति, तृतीय चरणे होय पंच रेफ स्थिति. In the arrangement of the first line, the letter ta occurs 5 times. And the arrangement of the third line repeats the letter ra 5 times. Text 75. Chatus charane chari bhakar prakash atev shabdalankar anupras. The fourth line, the letter bha occurs 4 times. This arrangement of alliteration is a pleasing ornamental use of sound. So it's good. Text 76. Shi shabde Lakshmi shabde ek vastu ukta punarukt pray bhase nahe punarukt. Although the words Shri and Lakshmi convey the same meaning and are therefore almost redundant, they are nevertheless not redundant. Oh, okay. 77. Shiyukta Lakshmi arthe arther vibhed punarukta vadabhas shabdalankar bhed. Describing Lakshmi as possessed of Shri, opulence, offers a difference in meaning, the tinge of repetition. This is the second ornamental use of words. Okay. 78. Lakshmi Arthalankar Upama Prakash or Arthalankar Ache Nam Virodhabhas. The use of the words Lakshmi Iva, like Lakshmi, manifests the ornament of meaning called Upama, analogy. It's also the further ornament of meaning called Virodhabhas, or a contradictory indication. 79. Gangate Kamala Janme Sabar Subodh Kamale Gangar Janma Atyant Virodh. Everyone knows that the lotus flower grows in the water of the Ganges. But to say that the Ganges takes birth from a lotus flower seems extremely contradictory. यहाँ विष्णु पाद पद में गंगार उत्पत्ति विरोधालंकार यह महा चमत्कृति. The existence of Mother Ganges begins from the lotus feet of the Lord. Although this statement that water comes from a lotus flower is a contradiction, in connection with Lord Vishnu, it is a great wonder. So because it's Charana Kamal, so it implies that Ganga is coming from Kamal, but no. However, because we talk about the Lord, it's okay. ईश्वर अचिंत्य शक्ति गंगार प्रकाश याते विरोध नाहि विरोध आभास. In this birth of the Ganges, by the inconceivable potency of the Lord, there is no contradiction, although it appears contradictory. Okay, I don't know about you, I'm getting lost, so I'm just going to be honest with you. Okay, purport. Read the purport, please.
I can go ahead.
Shall I go, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. The central point of all Vaishnava philosophy is to accept the inconceivable potency of Lord Vishnu. What sometimes appears contradictory from a material viewpoint is understandable in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he can perform contradictory activities by dint of his inconceivable potencies. Modern scientists are puzzled. They cannot even explain how such large quantity of chemicals has formed the atmosphere. Scientists explain that water is combination of hydrogen and oxygen. But when asked where such a large quantity of hydrogen and oxygen came from and how they combined to manufacture the great ocean and seas, they cannot answer because they are atheists who will not accept that everything comes from life. Their thesis is that life comes from matter. Where do all these chemicals come from? The answer is that they are produced by the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Living entities are part of the Supreme Godhead, and from their bodies come many chemicals. For example, the lemon tree is living entity that produces many lemons, and within each lemon is a great deal of citric acid. Therefore, if even an insignificant living entity who is but a part of the Supreme Lord can produce so much of a chemical, how much potency there must be in the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
That's right.
Keep going.
Scientists
Keep going, please.
Scientists cannot perfectly explain where the chemicals of the world are manufactured, but one can explain this perfectly by accepting the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Lord. There is no reason for denying this argument, since there are potencies in the living entities who are samples of the personality of Godhead. How much potency there must be in the Supreme Godhead Himself. As described in the Vedas, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. He is the chief eternal of all eternals and the chief living entity among all living entities. Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. Unfortunately, uh, atheistic science will not accept that matter comes from life. Scientists insist upon their most illogical and foolish theory that life comes from matter, although this is quite impossible. They cannot prove in their laboratories that matter can produce life, yet there are thousands and thousands of examples illustrating that matter comes from life. Therefore, in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that as soon as one accepts the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no great philosopher or scientist can put forward any thesis to contradict the Lord's power. This is expressed in the following Sanskrit verse.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So the whole point of this whole purport is that the Lord has inconceivable energies and he can do anything. And so therefore, no wonder that Ganges can come from the lotus flower, although not possible in the material world. And then he's saying this point is made clearer in the next verse. Ambujam ambuji jatam kochit apina jatam ambujat ambu murbhiditad vipar ritam padam bhojan mahanadi jata. Everyone knows that lotus flower grows in the water, but water never grows from a lotus. All such contradictions, however, are wonderfully possible in Krishna. The great river Ganges has grown from his lotus feet. So, again, making the same point, Krishna can do anything. You know the story about Narad Muni meeting a cobbler, and a
Cobbler.
Brahmin at the same time.
Mm.
So all of story that, so I won't bother talking about this. But anyway, the point was that the cobbler said, well, if my Lord can grow a banyan tree from a small seed, then why should I be surprised that he was needling, he was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle? No, there's no surprise. So the point is, those who have faith, they know the Lord can do anything. As a matter of fact, one of the qualities of Lord Narayan, which is Krishna also, is that he has inconceivable potencies. So we can't even imagine his potencies. Okay. Text 83. Gangara Mahatva Sadhya Sadhana Tahar Vishnupadotpatti Anuman Alankar. The real glory of Mother Ganges is that she has grown from the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Such a hypothesis is another ornament called Anuman. So again, the real glory is that it comes from the lotus feet
Lotus
of
feet
the
of the
Lord.
Lord.
That's where his power is coming from. Text 84. स्थूल एहि पंचदोष पंच अलंकार सूक्ष्म विचारिये यदि आछाए अपार. I have simply discussed the 5 gross faults and 5 literary embellishments of this verse. But if we consider it in fine detail, we'll find unlimited faults. So there you go. I'm only telling you 5, but they're actually unlimited. Text 85. प्रतिभा कवित्व तुम्हार देवता प्रसादे अविचार काव्य अवश्य पढ़े दोष बाधे. You have achieved poetic imagination and ingenuity by the grace of your worshipable demigod. But poetry not well reviewed is certainly subject to criticism. Text 86. विचारे कवित्व कैले होय सुने मल सालंकार होले अर्थ करे झल मल. Poetic skill used with due consideration is very pure. And with metaphors and analogies, it is dazzling. So now the Lord is rubbing it in. How? Saying, you may have got the imagination and the ingenuity by the grace of your worshipable demigod. But still, before you speak, you should review in your mind, look at it carefully, scrutinizingly, and then you speak or say the verse. Otherwise, it will be open to criticism. This is why in the glorification of the 6 Goswamis, Shad Goswami, Sridhar Acharya says, Nana Shastri Vichar, right? After having scrutinizingly studied the scriptures, they have written. So not just read something, heard something, and spoke. No, scrutinizingly understand it, think about this, and then speak. All right. Otherwise, says here, otherwise it is subject to criticism. Okay, text 86. No, sorry, 87. Shuniya Prabhur Vyakhya Digvijay Vismit Mukhena Nisare Vakya Pratibha Stambhit. After hearing the explanation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the champion poet was struck with wonder. His cleverness stunned, he could not say anything. Don't know what to say. Don't have a response. I have nothing to say. My cleverness is gone. Text 88. कहते चाहे किछु न आय से उत्तर तबे विचार रहे मने होइया फाफर. He wanted to say something, but no reply would come from his mouth. He then began to consider this puzzle within his mind. So only when you get beat up, do you start thinking, what happened? What happened? Text 89. Paduya balak kail mor buddhilop, jani Sarasvati more koriya chen ko. This mere boy has blocked my intelligence. I can therefore understand that Mother Saraswati has become angry with me. So even now, he's not seeing the God himself in front of him. He's thinking this is a mere child. and it made me speechless. That means my worshipable object, Mother Saraswati, must be angry with me. So let's read the purport.
Can I read it, Prabhuji?
Please go ahead.
Okay. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said that all intelligence comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart as a Paramatma. The Paramatma gave the Pandit the intelligence to understand that because he was proud of his learning and wanted to defeat even the Supreme Lord by the will of the Lord and through the angry of Mother Saraswati, agency of Mother Saraswati, he has been defeated. One should not therefore be too proud of one's position, even if one is a greatly learned scholar. If he commits an offense to the lotus feet of the Lord, he will not be able to speak properly in spite of his learning. In every respect, we are controlled. Our only duty, therefore, is to surrender always to the lotus feet of the Lord, not to falsely proud. Mother Saraswati created this situation to favor the champion Pandit so that he might surrender into the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Jai. So here a point is being made that even Mother Saraswati doesn't like her devotee to be puffed up, and certainly not show off in front of her worshipable Lord. So she's going to teach him something. Text 90. जे व्याख्या करेले से मनुष्य न है शक्ति निमाय मुखे रही बोले आपने सरस्वती. So this Pandit is still thinking. This wonderful explanation the boy has given should not have been possible for a human being. Therefore, Mother Saraswati must have spoken personally through his mouth. He's still not acknowledging. See, there's an ingredient missing, and we'll come to that. Until that happens, you cannot recognize the Lord if standing in front of you. Text 91. Et bhavi kahe shun nimai pandit tab vyakha shuniyami hoilao vismit. Thinking thus, the Pandit said, My dear Nimai Pandit, please hear me. Hearing your explanation, I'm simply struck with wonder. 92. Alankar nahi pad nahi shastrabhyas ke mane e sab arth karile prakash. I'm surprised you're not a literary student and do not have long experience in studying the Shastras. How have you been able to explain all these critical points? He's totally floored. He doesn't know what happened. What hit him? Text 93. Yashani Mahaprabhu ati bada rangi tahar hridaya jani kahe kari bhangi. Hearing this and understanding the Pandit's heart, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied in a humorous way. He's still having fun. Text 94. Shastri vichar bhal mandi nahi jani Saraswati je bolaye sahi boli bani. My dear sir, I do not know what is good composition and what is bad. But whatever I have spoken must be understood to have been spoken by Mother Saraswati. No credit of mine. Again, he's showing him. No credit of mine. Text 95. Yashuni digvijay karil nischay shishidware devi more kail parajay. When he heard this judgment from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Pandit sorrowfully wondered why Mother Saraswati wanted to defeat him through a small boy. Now he's blaming her. Text 96. Aji tare nivediba kari jap dhyan शिष्य द्वारे कैल मोरे et apaman. I shall offer prayers and meditation to the goddess of learning, the champion concluded, and ask her why she has insulted me so greatly through this boy. Why did she do it? Text 97. Vastuta Saraswati Ashuddh Shlok Karayil Vichar Samay Tar Buddhi Acha Dil. Saraswati had in fact induced the champion to compose his verse in an impure way. Furthermore, when it was discussed, she covered his intelligence. And thus the Lord's intelligence was triumphant. So, yes, Mother Saraswati is active here, but she's being a devotee. a pure devotee. She's saying, you're not going to argue in front of my boss. So she induced him to compose this verse in an impure way. And when the discussion started, she covered his intelligence, so he didn't know what to say. So got him both ways. Text 98. तब शिष्य गण सब हासिते लागिल ता सबा निषेधी प्रभु करीबे कबीरे कहिल. When the poetic champion was thus defeated, all the lost disciples sitting there began to laugh loudly. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them not to do so, and he addressed the poet as follows. So now kids are kids, they start laughing. Now you're being so puffed up, showing off so much. Now you can't say a word. The Lord says, no, don't do that. And he speaks to the poet. Text 99. तुम्ही बड़ पंडित महाकवि शिरोमणि जार मुखे बहिराय ऐसे काव्य वाणी. So now still being so humble and being so respectful. You know, the verse that Lord Chaitanya wrote, Shastakam verse number 3. What is that? Hmm?
Trinadapi
Pranadapi
Sunita Vaishnanas Amani Namanadena.
Right. So far, he's been showing the quality of Trinadapi Suniche. Now he's doing Amani Naman then. Tumi Bada Pandit, Mahakavi Shiromani, Jarmukhe Bahirai Achaka Bhuani. You're the most learned scholar, giving respect. Man then. And the topmost of all great poets, again man then. For otherwise, how could such fine poetry come from your mouth? So he's being Amani not expecting any respect from him. He accepted whatever insult he was given, but he's given him respect. So Trinadapi Sunichin, Tururi Vaseshana, Amani na Manden. He's proving it all. Text 100. Tomar kavittu jain ganga jal dhar, tomasam kavi kotha nahi dekhi ar. Your poetic skill is like the constant flow of the waters of the Ganges. I find no one in the world who can compete with you. Again, Mande. So comparing the skills of Kashmiri Pandit with the constant flow of the water of the Ganges. What's the quality of the water flow of the Ganges? What's the quality being referred to?
It
Purification.
flows that. Okay, go ahead.
Purification. That
Yeah.
purifies.
There's something else here, but in the context, in this context, what's the quality being referred to?
Ganges water flows very smoothly, very peacefully. Like
Okay, what else? So you put a big boulder in the middle of the river. What happens?
It moves ahead, right?
Sorry?
It overcomes the obstacle and from
It goes around it. Doesn't bother.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very
right.
calm flow.
Yeah. So, and it's constantly flowing. It doesn't stop,
Yeah.
doesn't stop.
right? So my point is that Lord Chaitanya is saying your poetic skills are like that. It's constantly going on, non-stop. Text 101. Bhavabhuti Jayadev Ari Kalidas Tasabar Kavitve Ache Doshere Prakash. Even in the poetic compositions of such great poets as Bhavabhuti, Jayadev, and Kalidas, there are many examples of faults. So don't worry. Everybody has some faults. So again, try to make him feel better. Text 102. Dosh guna vichar ei alpakari mani kavittu karena shakti tahase bakhani. Such mistakes should be considered negligible. One should see only how such poets have displayed their poetic power. So he's continuing to massage his ego. Right? Purport. Now forget the verse, just read the text, please. Somebody.
I can read Prabhuji.
Please go ahead, Bhu.
Okay. In explaining the glories of the Lord, inexperienced men may compose poetry with many faults, but because it contains glorification of the Lord, great personalities read it, hear it, and chant it. Despite its minute literary discrepancies, one must study poetry on the merit of its subject matter. According to Vishwanath Vaishnava philosophy, any literature that glorifies the Lord whether properly written or not, is first class. There need to be no other consideration. The poetic composition of Bhavabhuti or Srikanta include Malati, Madhava, Uttar Charita, Veer Charita, and many similar Sanskrit dramas. This great poet was born during the time of Bhojaraj, the son of Nilakantha, Brahmana. Kalidasa flourished during the time of Maharaj Vikramaditya, and he became the state poet. He composed some 30 or 40 Sanskrit dramas, including Kumar Sambhava, Abhijnana, Shakuntala, and Meghdutta. His drama Raghu Vamsha is specially famous. We already described Jaidev in chapter 13 of Adi Lila. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So point being made here is that any literature written to glorify the Lord is considered super excellent, even if it contains some faults. And there's no other consideration in looking at this. So basically, again, he's saying that, similarly, you glorify Mother Ganges, so don't worry about the faults. Everybody, even these great poets, Kalidas and Bhavabhuti and Jayadev, had some faults in their creations. Text 103. Shaisav chapalya kichu na lobe amar, shishir saman moi na ho tomar. I'm not even fit to be your disciple. Now, how humble is that? Therefore, kindly do not take seriously whatever childish impudence I have shown. So sorry if I was being childish. Like forgive child, just forgive me also. Text 104. Aji basa jao kali milibe abar shunibe tomar mukhe shastrer vichar. Please go back home, and tomorrow we may meet again so that I may hear discourses on the Shastras from your mouth. So again, continues to give him respect. You're still great. I'd love to hear Shastras from you. I can learn something from you. Text 105. Ehi mate nij ghare gela doi jan kari ratre kaile Sarasvati aradhan. In this way, both the poet and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went back to their homes. And at night, the poet worshipped Mother Saraswati. 106. Saraswati sapne tare upadesh kail sakshat Ishwara kari Prabhu ke janil. In a dream, the goddess informed him of the Lord's position. And the poetic champion could understand that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So he needed that help from a pure devotee of the Lord, that this is Supreme Personality of God himself. Text 107. Pratayasi Prabhupade Lohile Sharan, Prabhu Kripa Kailtar Khandile Bandhan. The next morning, the poet came to Lord Chaitanya and surrendered unto his lotus feet. The Lord bestowed his mercy upon him, cut off all his bondage to material attachment. The same process advocated by Lord Shri Krishna in his teachings of Bhagavad Gita, as it is, surrender unto me in all circumstances, was advocated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The champion surrendered unto the Lord, and the Lord favored him. One is favored by the Lord is freed from material bondage. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Takta Deham Punajanma Neti Mameti Swarjan. So the Lord, all he's looking for is surrender to me, and I'll take care of you. And so the Lord does that. Text 108. Bhagyavante Digvijay Safala Jivan Vidya Bole Pahile Mahaprabhur Charan. The poetic champion was certainly most fortunate. His life was successful by dint of his vast learning and erudite scholarship. And thus he attained the shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very interesting. That's why he says very fortunate, because normally your scholarship is not a criteria for getting the mercy. So this is Ahatiki Kripa of the Lord. No logic. Just decides to, just because. So let's read the purport. It'll be more clear.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I can read.
Yeah, please go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Sri Narottam Dasa Thakura has sung that the best qualification for taking shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya is to be the most fallen, because the Lord came specifically to deliver the fallen souls. In this age, there are few scholars. Almost everyone is a fallen meat eater, drunkard, woman hunter, or gambler. Such persons are never considered learned scholars, even if they pose as such, because these so called scholars superficially see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu associates with the fallen souls. They think that he is meant for a lower class of men, but that they do not need him. Thus, such scholars do not take to the Krishna consciousness movement. To be puffed up with this false learning, there is a disqualification for accepting the Krishna conscious movement. But here is a special example. For although the poetic champion was a greatly learned scholar, the Lord also favored him because of his humble submission. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very interesting. Prabhupada is saying that because the Lord is always delivering the most fallen, people who have education or other opulences, I think that's not for him, for them, I mean, because it's only for the lower class people, the fallen people, and all that. But Prabhupada is explaining that's obviously not true at all. And here's an example. There's a very great scholar here, this Keshav Kashmiri. But because he surrendered, he got the mercy. Text 109. ऐसा भी लीला बनिया छेन वृंदावन दास ये किछु विशेष यहाँ करेले प्रकाश. Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur excuse me, described all these incidents elaborately. I only presented the specific incidents he has not described. Text 110. Chaitanya Gosain Lila Amriter Dhar Sabendri Tapta Hoy Shravane Jahar. Nectarian drops of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes can satisfy the senses of everyone who hears them. Text 111. Shri Rup Raghunath Pade Jar Ash Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishnadas. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in the footsteps. So this was a little... Sorry? This was a little complex and difficult to understand, the explanations by Lord Chaitanya, because we also have not been trained in Alankar and all those kind of things. So, so if you did not understand it, call it my fault and forgive me, because as a teacher, I didn't know how to do it. I don't understand myself. I just take it for granted that the Lord is saying it, therefore it must be right. And just got a little bit what he's saying, but that's about it. So any questions or comments, I'll be happy to try and answer them. But otherwise, you have to live with my incompetence.
That's what it is saying here in Prabhu, that listening, learn. We are just listening, and that is all we are learning.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji,
Huh.
in one of the shloka it says the process is Shruti Dhara. Then my question is there any other process?
Yeah. One process is mental speculation.
Or mental speculation is also learning process there?
No, I know, but you're saying is there any other process? So I'm just saying this. Yes, there's another process called mental speculation. There's another process called the upward movement. So learn from somebody who's below you. There's another process called Anuman, which is basically guessing.
Guessing.
There's another process called Pratyaksha, which means just witnessing. So there are many processes, right? But the best is you hear, but hear from the right source.
And another is not any question, but all these incident reminds me that how Lord is merciful, and when he wants to correct someone, how he gives his mercy. And then next, I don't know in which Lila that incident is there when he go to the South India, and there he saw the Brahmana who is taking Bhagavad Gita in his hand,
Yes.
but he doesn't know any Sanskrit. Even he doesn't know the picture is upward down.
Yes.
But still how Lord gives him mercy. If you are puffed up, then he makes makes you correct like this. And if you are humble, how he gives the mercy. That
Absolutely.
incident reminds me.
Yeah, humility is one of the most admired qualities by the Lord.
Yes.
And puffed upness is the least appreciated by the Lord. He will not give mercy to anybody who's puffed up until he's not puffed up.
Yes.
You may have any qualification. Puffed
Yeah.
up, you're not getting mercy.
So today's gift from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to us to be humble always.
Yes.
One
Now, how many
trick
of us are accepting it?
is
We should try, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
We should try.
Yes.
Yeah, Prabhu, I try. I'm not
I know you
successful.
do. But you're pretty humble anyway.
You are
But
very humble, Mataji.
Yes.
we should try, but we are
Even
not
your Prabhu
always
is.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. We are conditioned souls. So we have our faults, and sometimes we learn and then we forget it. Let's make the same mistake again. But as long as we keep trying, it's very helpful.
One day we will succeed.
One day we'll succeed. Exactly right.
Yeah, Prabhuji, here I still get one question here. So Prabhuji, he eventually goes to, he did not surrender
hold on.
directly. He has to
Hold on for a second.
back Kashmiri
Hold on for a
Pandit.
second. Let me mute her.
Yeah.
Hey, Gayatri. Gayatri. Don't see you here.
She's not there even.
Oh, no, she's there. She's there. Okay. All right. Sorry, bro. Go ahead now.
Yeah. So, Kashmiri Pandit, how we can say he surrendered, because still he has his own doubt. He goes, only thing is that he went back to Sarasvati, right? His guru or the goddess, right? But he himself, he did not understand and surrender. So somebody was involved in between.
No. When he came back, after the dream with Saraswati, then he came and surrendered. Not before.
He dreamt and then he surrendered.
So you say that he could understand he is not ordinary, and he accepted his.
No. Like Mother Saraswati told him very directly, this Supreme Personality of Godhead, my husband.
Okay.
Yeah, she was very blunt.
Hmm.
She said, I cannot speak in front of him.
Okay.
Right? And then only he came back and surrendered.
And he realized his mistakes also. He realized that he could not speak, right? So a lot of points got connected to him. He connected himself. Like yesterday, despite all that, he could not talk anything, argue anything on that, right? So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was able to find out 5 faults and 5, nice thing, he could not argue or do anything on that. He kept quiet there, right? So his mind was maybe put into illusion by Saraswati, and we see that right there.
But at that time, he was blaming Mother Saraswati that she got angry,
True.
and therefore I can't do this. He wasn't giving credit to the Lord at that time. So he's still puffed up.
Yeah, still
Only
puffed
after the dream that he understood that this is the Lord, and then he came and surrendered, fell on his feet.
So what happens to next, Prabhuji? We don't get a next chapter, but what happens to Kashmiri Pandit now? He's
So actually, that's a good question. So I was researching that, and they said that nobody really knows, but the speculation is that everyone who got mercy of Lord Chaitanya, they ended up in Vrindavan.
Oh.
So he probably went to Vrindavan and performed his devotional service there.
Whose incarnation was he, or he will be into incarnated what?
No, he was not incarnation of anybody.
Anybody? And Prabhu, is it he not like this isn't it all a plan of Mahaprabhu?
Okay. What's the
Like,
point?
I mean that everything is everything happens what Lordship wants, right? And
Yeah.
this is the way of his Lila to teach us also.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
It is,
So
yes.
if Pandita Kashmiri it was doing all this argumentation and arguments and everything, maybe it's Lordship's plan.
Not maybe. Yes,
No?
it is. There's no maybe here. Yes, it
Oh.
is his plan. He's
Yeah.
simply being an instrument
Yeah, exactly.
for us. It's for our benefit.
Hmm. Okay, that he was poor boy was not really bad. We shouldn't be minding it. We should learn.
No question of minding it. I mean, he's a great personality, way better than us.
Exactly.
Like we don't even have that scholarship and still get puffed up,
Yeah.
right? So no, it's not a question of us looking down upon him. We're not qualified to
As
do that.
that, at least he has that intelligence. That's why he was puffed up. But
Puffed up,
here
yeah.
we
Even in
have
this
That's
not
world,
that
right.
people get puffed
intelligence.
up.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yes, yes.
But in our case, I will say in my case, we don't have that intelligence.
No,
Still,
for me too.
We get puffed up on little thing we get, even
the smallest things, yes.
the smallest thing, yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, were you calling me? It's Gayatri.
I was calling you. There's a lot of background noise from your place. I was telling you, please mute
Oh,
yourself.
my apologies. I
No, it's
thought
okay.
it was on mute.
Then I muted you after.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Prabhuji, this incident also reminds that Maharaj, we have heard this incident from Maharaj Srimukh so many times, our Guru Maharaj.
Yes. Okay. All right. So if there are no other questions, Mancha Kalptarabhyascha
Vasidana.
Kalpasindhu.
Namo Namaha.
Thank you.